Welcome to the Mainly Eminem podcast in association with ePro. My name is Danny from a very warm UK. Yes, it's been probably 4.5 days of 30-degree heat, which is around about 90 Fahrenheit for you American fans out there. So safe to say we are struggling a little bit here. It's been a cracking summer over here in the UK. A lot of hip hop artists have been over here touring. We've had the likes of Kendrick Lamar, 50 Cent, and Drake currently in the country. Glasgow's premium music festival Transmit has just witnessed a legendary 2-hour greatest hit set from 50 Cent, while Kendrick Lamar and SZA took to the stage at Hampden Park a few days ago for the GNX tour. So on today's episode, we are turning our full attention to Eminem's latest collaboration, Animals Part 1 with Jid. That dropped a few Fridays ago. Joining me as usual are Blake and Ross. Good evening, gents, and from a scale of 1 to 10, how warm are you today?
Oh, almost insufferable. It's ridiculous. Our buildings here, to explain to probably the American listeners, we build our houses to maintain heat, not like ventilate it. So it is like 28 in my room right now at 8 o'clock at night. It's a joke.
It's just a concrete jungle and there's no aircon, which is also something they probably have to improve on in the future. But anyway, here we are. First of all, guys, it's just, the track dropped a couple of Fridays ago. Ross, your initial impressions, because I think you were the first person in the group chat to post about it when it got released. So what was your initial impressions of the track?
When it like first like fully dropped and like I've got a chance to put my earphones in and give it a listen, it was really hard to sort of understand and work out the first beat, this first segment that Jid sort of comes in on. I just didn't know where it was going. It was almost a bit drum and bassy. It was weird, but I was really like quite impressed to see the song's length as well. When I first sort of opened my phone, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be bar heavy. It's going to be intricate. It's going to be good. I didn't expect it to be a fast song though. That was the one thing I was quite shocked that it would be like a fast rapper song, as Jid's also referred to it himself. So, but yeah, I was really impressed. I'm really enjoying it now as well.
I think like the start of it didn't really interpret that it was going to go as fast as that, because the sort of Jud's verse at the start was quite sort of not necessarily slow, but it was obviously a bit of a build up to then what came after. Blake, just the same question for yourself as well. How do you feel? What was your impression when it dropped? Were you surprised?
To be fair, what got me the most is I was just more impressed. Like, this is the second song, and obviously a short space of time. Obviously, I know Eminem's last album was, a year ago, and it was a year ago, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Bang on.
Like literally today, I think, or yesterday. I think it might have been.
Yep. Anniversary was just yesterday.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. So you think about it, like it's been out a year, and one of the most well received songs off the album was Fuel. So obviously another song's come out, and Jid's held his own. Like, usually when songs like this happen, obviously I know Eminem went a little bit mental on this one, but usually like it's clear cut M stole the whole song, but I don't know. To me, Jid held his own on both tracks in terms of sounds, how it went. So that's what impressed me, the fact that this song wasn't like a whitewash. It was actually quite a well put together song, and that I'd say all of it was memorable, not just one verse or one line. All of it was quite memorable, especially how it flowed
as a whole. Yeah. I mean, in terms of the sort of lyrical breakdown, Ross, both Jid and Em are obviously well known for being, very technical lyrical rappers. Which bars or wordplay stood out for you most on each artist's verse?
Well, the one thing I wanted to sort of point out straight away is obviously Jid was like, I'm going to say overall probably more consistent in his theme with his verse, because there's about 8 different biblical like references throughout his multiple verses in the song. Obviously, it's meant to come off of it's a closing track from like a Prelux album, isn't it? So he's got another album coming out called God Does Like Ugly. So he's obviously sticking with that theme quite well. But yeah, immediately for me, my favorite sort of flow and I guess sort of segment from Jid is that sort of slowed down minimalistic drums, and he's sort of going off and he's twisting a few lyrics. I'm just trying to find them now where I've just seen them, but he starts going off about Kobe, where he says bow wow 8-1 like Kobe in 06. Obviously, I'm a British guy, so I don't know a lot of references to basketball, but it's a flex comparing his sort of impact to Kobe's iconic like 81-point game in 2006. So I wouldn't know that unless I looked it up. Again, this is something you kind of got to do with with Jid. But he says again, if we beefing, let's get into some old biblical shit. Ain't no tweet and see you good night and then proceed with a kiss. Flow and pockets ridiculous there. Very, very sort of Slim Shady, very Eminem as well, I think, which I think is probably something you have to do when you're doing a feature like this, especially when you've got one in the bag recently as well. Like, you got to step up every time. And then he says at the end, you know the facts of the sleeping giant, align me with that. Goliath's a bitch, hit with a rock and a sack. And he says his partners ride with a stick, flipping a rock and a weight, talking about obviously the difference between Goliath being hit by a rock and a sack, and then his friend dealing out of a rock and a sack. Yeah, which is quite cool. So
really clever.
a lot of the references in here like are quite deep. I did have to go over them a couple of times, especially that first segment he does, because he is going off. He's like really spitting in that first verse. I'm breaking the bread, I'm breaking the bread, the breakfast, I'm bringing the bacon, slinging the sausage, cracking the egg over your face. Like, take a breath. Yeah, exactly. It's just, again, with these sort of songs where I saw the length of it, I was like, this is going to be really bar heavy. And I've only sort of touched the surface on what Jid's done. That's me being sort of very, very humble. But Jid went, completely nuts on this. And I would argue that he is probably more, I'd say, if you listen to Jid's verse for the bars and Eminem's for the cadence and flow, in my personal opinion, that's where they both sort of really complement each other on this occasion. Because I think compared to Fuel, Jid came a little bit better, but Jid was also more flowy on Fuel and Eminem was more bar heavy. So yeah, I thought they really complement each other really well.
Yeah. What about in terms of sort of M's bars of wordplay? Any sort of ones that stood out for you on his verse?
There's obviously a few that are quite popular at the minute. Obviously, the one regarding Dre, but the one I really wanted to talk about, I think I put it on X the other day or Twitter, is where he obviously says, "Is it Groundhog's Day or Deja Vu?" Both songs that he has released, to be fair.
Yeah,
so that's quite funny. And then he says, "Won't stop. Period. Postmenopausal." The whole segment that follows after that, the "Go so postal that the postman will pause. I slaughter the rhyme." He keeps that whole structure and cadence all the way down for about, I'm going to say, about 8 to 12 bars, which is ridiculous. And then he ends it by mentioning, again, Joe, Jam, Master J, and Daryl, brace yourself. It's about to be a fucking shootout like the OK Corral. It's nuts. But that whole segment, the syllables in there, the pocket that he's riding, and again, obviously he's done his very classic Eminem delivery, where he's done a segment where he has gone offbeat and out of pocket, but that's kind of the pocket that he's chosen. It still works. I do like this sort of segment that he's doing here, where he is just absolutely spazzing and using so many different syllables that, it's almost unhuman.
There's one line just before he mentions them two songs, where he says Groundhog Day or Deja Vu. And it's where he says, "I'm Marshall, but I'm unlawful," as in basically saying he's
I like that, to be fair. Yeah,
I did like that. And then I was going to say, following from that, the one thing that I did like is he used a couple of sort of cheesy bars in this, but they worked really well. "Keep it a stack like pancakes, I'm awful. So many plaques from Belgium, got a wall full."
Awful.
That's it is cheesy, but the fact that he delivers it quite quickly and almost seriously, you just sort of like chin it off and go, "Oh yeah, that's quite funny," to be fair.
And it was the truth as well, because ePro actually posted an article, I think it was the end of February, where Houdini went platinum in the Belgium charts. So he's obviously seen that, and he's probably maybe writing this at around about that time as well. So he's everything that he does say, basically in terms of stuff like that, it is all factual, statistics and stuff like that. So it's good to see that he's also keeping an eye on how well his sort of songs are doing as well.
Yeah, and I do also like the sort of the honesty he does bring out towards the end of this song as well, where the bar that sort of sticks with me even quite a lot is Dave, "I've never sell out for the fame and wealth. Dave Chappelle of the rap game. I'm never going to play myself. Closest they ever came is 8 Mile," which again is really clever. But he has always been sort of quite humble and honest about his entrance into the game and his, obviously, probably his, I guess, advantage being white compared to the rest of the industry. But I do think, again, that was a really heavy bar to stick with. Dave Chappelle, I saw he reacted to it as well, which is why I thought I'd mention it.
Blake took a couple of shots at Kanye and Ja Rule. Also made references to P. Diddy in relation to the Tupac death. How do you feel? Was it needed for this track, or is it just sort of usual sort of Slim Shady?
I don't know. I think the Ja Rule one fitted in well, just because obviously I think a line or two early he mentioned something about 50 Cent. So I think that was just like a little, it was an easy way to match up a line while also, making a comedic diss. Because obviously let's be honest, who doesn't enjoy a good little jab or fucking jab here and there?
No, quite right.
I quite like the Kanye one just because I think it was quite comedic. Because when Kanye first came out and said that thing about him and his cousin, everyone was like, "Mate, you're fucking tapped, like proper." Like, not so much the situation because it is what it is, but I don't know. Like, Kanye's been on that vibe for a little while now, hasn't he? I think we've
Plus,
spoken
does he
about this
really need to
before.
make that public?
Yeah,
Does he really need to tell people that?
I don't know. I think it was a similar thing. It was just a nice little. I don't really think it was much of a diss. I think it was just sort of like Slim Shady taking the piss. Sort of like how he used to take the piss out of R. Kelly back in the day and stuff like that.
Yeah, see, I think the one thing I will say is I thought that as well, that it's just sort of a little jab, maybe a like pop culture reference at the minute. But if you actually sort of look into the lyrics that follow all the way until he goes into that crazy flow, it's all relevant to Kanye. So it does seem a bit. He's put a lot of thought into it. For example, where he says, "That's probably the reason there's nothing you've bodied of recent." That's because he obviously got a lot of controversy for his more recent like releases, album wise. And then he says, "I feel like I just walked in and seen you naked because you're not even decent." I think that's maybe referencing him and his
Yeah,
Kanye's
course, yeah.
wife's like public appearances. They've made a couple, haven't they, where they're very fairly indecent. And then I think he then finishes it by saying, "Get ripped like my school clothing." If you then go into the longer bit where he goes on his rock and rolly guacamole bit, he says, "I told you hoes to slow your rolls before you go and throw your whole career up in the toilet bowl." Kanye filmed the video of him peeing on his
That's
Grammy
right, yeah, so he
in the
did.
toilet, didn't he?
I completely missed that.
So I think the whole thing is like directed at him, which means he's put a big segment there into Kanye, which I think he's probably just trying to tell him to chill out and keep it like just being like, "Mate, you need to calm down. You're getting a bit leery." I also think as well Eminem would have quite a lot to say regarding Kanye's Heil Hitler song. Wouldn't you agree? Like he would not want that shit at all. So I don't know. I think it's a direct diss personally.
I completely missed that toilet bowl line. Completely missed it.
Any bonus points for Slow Your Roll? Do you know where that's came from?
I actually don't, to be fair.
E12 World, one of the tracks off that album, Slow Your Roll. I think it was towards the end of the album,
okay.
but sort of maybe just a wee sort of homage to that as well. Right, guys. So Ross, in terms of you've also spoke about Jid's performance. What is your take on the chemistry between the two? Obviously, this is the second collaboration after Fuel. Do you feel like they push each other to sort of elevate their performance?
Yeah, because I thought, I don't know about you, when I first heard Fuel, sorry, it was Jid's verse is quite short in comparison to what he does obviously on this song, which is going to be the case because it's not on his album. But even so, I thought they worked really well on Fuel and it was quite short. And on this, they kind of went a bit braver and pushed the boat out a little bit further, and they both got a bit comfortable, I think. And I do think you're right. I do think they push each other. Again, I think it's a really good part, like almost duo. I could see maybe like a few more songs, but not enough to probably qualify like an EP or an LP or anything like that. I just think it could be another consistent Eminem feature that's a rap feature that we get on albums in the future that I'm not mad about in the slightest, is the way I sort of see it.
Yeah, what do you think that these two tracks now, show about Jid's growth as an artist?
Well, I followed Jid. The first time I heard Jid was the Never song he released.
Yeah,
I think it was about 2018, maybe 2017. I can't remember when it was exactly. So to hear him now with the more, I guess, intricate and structured schemes that he's using compared to when he was releasing songs back then, don't get me wrong, he was still really good back in 2018, but you can see the very clear growth and the very, very clear progression. And to go from where he is in 2018 to where he is now with Eminem on two features is very impressive. I do think he is probably going to be one of the more remembered lyrical artists of the 21st century already, just because he's already made such a statement, and he's up there with like the likes of Cole as well. Being backed by J. Cole was going to severely help some of the features that he's had in the past. He has potential to be a real problem for the so-called top three if he wants to carry on.
Yeah, so in terms of the production, Blake, obviously there's quite a few on this. There's Chris. The beat is produced by Crystal, Anchor Trio Plus One, Eminem, Louis Resto, and Fred Wreck. It's sort of described as an aggressive track. How do you feel about the production on this?
I really like it because it's good. It might sound a little bit silly when I first say it, but I think you'll both will understand what I mean when I do say it. The sort of production and the way both of them sound on a track, it reminds me very much of when Eminem and Lil Wayne used to collab. Just it didn't need to be over dramatic beats. It didn't need to be, I don't know, it didn't need to be over the top. Like everything just flowed right. You know, obviously Eminem, Louis Resto, you know, that they go back, you know, since way back when. Obviously, you know, we spoke about that last couple of episodes we've done. You know, Fredwreck, he's up whenever his mind's in the right place. You know, he doesn't produce a bad track, and obviously I can't comment about, you know, the others that are on there as production because, you know, it's the first time I'm really hearing their names. But all in all, I think the production of it was very, very well done.
There's also been a lot of fans on platforms such as X and Reddit that have speculated that M's used an AI filter to make his voice sound like an sort of early 2000s Slim Shady. Do you think that's what he's used in this?
Do you know what? It's really hard because when the Death of Slim Shady first came out, at first I thought it was like maybe just mixing, you know, like him just sort of taking his voice to a little bit of a higher pitch, and then obviously, you know, they do a little bit of mixing. But I don't know, the more and more you listen to it, and then obviously when you watch the interview they did, Eminem versus Slim Shady, so on and so forth, like you can't help but think it must be some sort of
Yeah.
generated voice, obviously. But you know, one of them live voice changes, sometimes it can come across a little bit robotic, but it does work. So what, I don't know. It's hard to say because I do think it's more mixing than it is an AI generated one. But I don't know for how good it sounds. I don't think it can just be solely mixing. But that might just me being a little bit naive in terms of unless I see it being done, I'm a little bit stuck in the mud on where it could be. But I mean, if it is AI generated, then it's really impressive because, you know, obviously over the years, not just in music, but whether it's movies or, you know, video, anything like that, like the bounds AI have gone is really impressive. But at the same time, it's really scary because it just shows that you could literally transport your voice into anything or basically create any type of music. But I don't know. I just think it's really impressive the fact they've been able to capture that sound in general.
Yeah, I think, yeah, my opinion on sort of AI and music technology, if it can, there's obviously ways. I think if Eminem did use it in the Death of Slim Shady, then it's hard for people to sort of understand the differences. You can sort of hear little differences in the pitch of the voice, but I mean, I'm not too against it just now, but if he does sort of doing it quite a lot in the future, I might get a little bit sort of fed up of it or whatever. But no, to be fair, I don't have a problem with it at this moment in time. It's just good to hear him in a new verse in 2025, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I mean, for the concept and time period that we're in terms of what he's putting out, it does make a lot of sense. But I'm in the same boat as you. If it becomes a repeating theme, then it'd be a bit like, right, you know, there's enough's enough now. But I think because of the project he's done and he's still sort of in that time period where it still sounds really impressive.
Ross, in terms of the placement of this track, it also was on the sort of Jid's pre-Lux EP, as we would call it. So do you think, you know, the fact that he never put it on God Does Like Ugly, why do you think that he made that choice?
I think he said on I think on X and maybe on Instagram as well. I can't remember where I saw it, but he said these were songs that he couldn't put on the album because he didn't know where to put them in set, like where they fit.
Right.
Like he wanted them on there, but they just didn't really have like a place in the track list. So hence why I think so. He's also addressed that Animals Part 1 isn't a reference to there being a second song with Eminem on the album. He's already said it's going to be a fast song. So I'd imagine we're going to have the same beat or one similar, maybe from Louis Resto, Fredwreck, Eminem, you know, etc., Christo, all the people credited. We could get the same beat again and another feature in that sense, but I don't think it's going to have Eminem on it. Jid said directly he's got what he classes as the world's best fast rappers on it. So I think it's going to be something like maybe Tech Nine or Busta Rhymes or something like that.
That would make sense, to be fair.
Yeah, so I don't think we're going to get another one on this album from them two, but yeah, I think we could still maybe get a feature in the sense that they might use the same producers, and Eminem being featured as a producer on this one could mean he's going to get it on the next one as well.
Yeah, so that is, if I'm right in saying, that is Eminem's first collaboration of this year?
Yeah, and yeah, I think officially, yeah, it is, because obviously there were songs that were leaked
Yeah, of
previously
course,
as
yeah.
well, but they don't really count, do they? But I think officially wise, yeah, this is it.
What do we think the rest of the year has in store then? Do you think obviously we're never going to get an album this year, but do you think there could be potential for some more guest appearances? I was quite surprised it wasn't on Lil Wayne's new Carter album.
Yeah, I was as well, actually. I was quite actually a little bit disappointed to see it wasn't on there, because I thought Lil Wayne said that he did have a feature with Eminem for a future project, but maybe that's down the line again. But yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe another couple more singles, maybe in a couple more features. But yeah, you're right. I don't think we're going to get another album, and if we do, I'd be surprised. I think it would obviously be in theme with the death of Slim Shady, hence why he's still using that voice. So, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. But no, it was just good to see. It was a surprise for obviously all the fans. Not many people were expecting this, so no, it was good to hear him again this year. And yeah, we'll have our fingers crossed for the next couple of months and see if anything else arises. Before we go, guys, is there anything else you would like to discuss?
No, I don't. I think we pretty much covered everything, to be fair.
Perfect. Right, well, thanks for your input, and cheers to everyone that has listened to the show. And of course, as usual, we're on all streaming platforms. Just look for the Mainly Eminem podcast and hit the subscribe button as well. I think we've got a couple of good episodes coming up over the next couple of weeks as well. We do have a rapper from Detroit joining us on the next show, who's worked with the likes of Royce da 5'9" and a lot of members of D12 as well. So stay tuned for that, and we will hear from you very soon. Cheers.